2023 to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have someone here to do the prayer. Oh,
She's gonna do it.
she's gonna do it. Okay, wonderful. Where's that to
Please bow your heads as we give thanks for many blessings that are bestowed upon us by being residents and servants of this city. Dear Lord, we thank you for bringing this group together to do your business on behalf of the city and this community. We thank you for the strong leadership on our council. We thank you for the strong participation of our citizens. We ask that you continue to watch over us, and we ask a special blessing that you watch over those that watch over us both here and abroad. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Man. That didn't go up, shoot down. Oh, I thought it was that one. Okay, we're gonna open item 3. It's a public hearing. There are 3 items in the public hearing. Item 1, PPLT FPLT 23000434, preliminary and final plat for the Las Brisas subdivision FUD. Is there anybody here wishing to speak on that item? All right, the next item, PPLT FPLT 23000436, preliminary and final plat of Lot 1, Block 1, New Wave subdivision, being a plat of Lot 1, Block 82, state land surveys on Mustang Island in the city of Port Aransas, Nueces County, Texas. Anybody here to speak on that item? Okay, item 3 is PPLT 23000439, preliminary plat of Marisol subdivision, 23.11 acres out of the Edward Hall survey, 588 land script 227 abstract 160 Nueces County, Texas. Anybody here to speak on that item? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Item 4 is proclamations and presentations. So item A is a proclamation on the retirement of Constable Robert Bobby Sherwood. I have a proclamation. Bobby, would you like to come up so we can stare at you? All right, here's the proclamation. Whereas we are here today to honor and celebrate the dedicated selfless service of Robert Bobby Sherwood to the citizens of Port Aransas, Texas. And whereas Bobby began his career at the Nueces County Sheriff's Office on May 20th, 1977, and served Nueces County for more than 44 years as the longest serving constable of Precinct 4. Bobby moved to Port Aransas in 1978 with his lovely wife, Lenora, and they raised their sons, Matt Sherwood and Robert Sherwood, in the Port Aransas community. Whereas Bobby was elected by the citizens of Port Aransas in Nueces County as the Precinct 4 constable at the November 3rd, 1992 general election. And whereas Bobby served the city of Port Aransas and the citizens in a professional, dedicated, and loyal manner from January 1st, 1993 to February 28th, 2023. And whereas Bobby's 30 years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of the Port Aransas community. And whereas on behalf of the entire city council, I want to express my sincere appreciation to Bobby for his exceptional service to the city of Port Aransas and wish him much happiness and success as he begins this new chapter in his life. I now, therefore, Wendy Moore, Mayor of Port Aransas, do hereby proclaim Thursday, April 20th, 23rd as Robert Bobby Sherwood Day. Okay, the fun's not over.
I know.
So I was rummaging around my new office.
Don't start, Tanya.
There's all kinds of things in there, but what I found, early on, this, there was only one. And I thought to myself, who better to give a key to the city to the man who already probably has the key to the city?
To everybody.
But it's a little minor memento of how much we appreciate and love you, and know that you can come back anytime that you want.
Thank you.
And here's your official proclamation. This is a card, and there is a little something in there because I heard there might be a new store that opened up down the street from you. That might be fun for you to go
Thank you.
and visit.
I appreciate it.
And we love.
I want to recognize my largest supporter, my wife. And my replacement, Chris, who's had some big shoes to fill. But
Yes.
he knows what to do because he followed me around for enough time. He knows how to handle things. And then and another thing I like to say is, some of y'all in here I knew when you were little kids, like the mayor here. And, I'm very proud to see that y'all made it, because there was a lot of doubts in my mind. But some of y'all would be around, like little Jensen girl here, but it, and Chris, grandparents live around the corner for me. But it was a pleasure to serve how I did. And of all the places, Port Aransas always stood up for me. And when things looked the darkest, and to say I had a colorful career is an understatement. They rallied behind me. They stood up with me. And, they elected me 8 times to this position. And to me, that's a pretty good accomplishment due to the fact that I probably went through maybe 10 or 12 chiefs of police while I was. That's okay. Phil. And to correct some of this, I was the first consul of precinct 7 right after Dwayne Matthews, and then they changed our number to number 4. So I was the last consul of precinct 7, first consul of the new precinct 4. And it's been a good ride. I had a good run, and I appreciate everything everybody's done for me, including Mike Morris. He's standing back there. He and I have a long relationship too. But and my son Matt's here, and Sonny Castor, who I've known my entire life, and I just really appreciate it. And thank you so much for recognizing me. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is item B, presentation from the Port Aransas Independent School District Superintendent Sharon McKinney.
Good evening. First, I want to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the city of Port Aransas for all you do to support us as we educate our Marlins in a safe environment each day. I mean it when I say I tell my colleagues in cities all across Texas that our relationship with the city could not be any better. The way that you guys support us on a daily basis, try to help us do what's best, not only for our students, for our families, and for our taxpayers and community members in Port Aransas. I am forever grateful. And we have incredible support from you guys, the city council, our mayor, our city council, our city staff helps out in big and little ways. Even this week, when something came up, police department and our SRO, our city parks and rec department, and many others. We're just so very grateful for all of the support we receive from the city. So I'm going to share just a few highlights from our capital improvements program. I've given this presentation, I think 9 times now, and I'll spare you the 45-minute version because I'm pretty sure most of you are heard me present it, probably more than once by now. But I did want to point out that we have brochures here. We've given them to you guys. There's some in the back for anybody in the audience that would like them. And on the very back, underneath the voting information, is a QR code to our website that has this entire presentation loaded. So if I skip past something that you're interested in, or just want to go back and reread, you can go to our website and see this entire presentation. First. Maybe first, there we go. I wanted to thank these folks publicly. The folks on the left are community members that have been working with us for over 3 years on these projects. They've met 12 times, they've toured the facilities, and they would tell you they've read countless emails from me with quite a bit of information about our district and our facilities. They also surveyed students, staff, parents, and community members to gain their feedback. So what the Capital Improvements Committee recommended to the board, and the board unanimously approved this, are 4 bond propositions for the May 6th election. Again, back in the day, you just could have 1 bond proposition if you wanted, or have several, but the law changed in 2019, and certain bond propositions have to be separate. So there are 4, and I'm just looking at a typo. I think maybe when we transferred it over to PowerPoint, I apologize. It should be ABCD. Not AAAD. Mine says ABCD. Sorry, we use the free Google Slides, not PowerPoint in the district. So anyway, there's 4 propositions, A through D, as listed there. The first one won't go into great detail, but the majority of this one by far is an HVAC project at the high school. You guys know we've been working on HVAC really since even before Harvey, but certainly after Harvey, we fixed it all so we could get the schools reopened. But there's equipment in the school that is more than 40 years old, and we are past the point of ever being able to get parts for anything. When something breaks these days, they say, well, we're going to go manufacture the part and we'll be there in 2 months to fix it, perhaps. Those kinds of things are happening. So over the next 2 summers, you guys, we're going to have to tear down the ceilings in the entire school. We're going to do half in 24 and half of 25, replace everything in the ceilings that has anything to do with HVAC. While we're up there, engineers and architects said you need to go ahead and replace the lighting. Again, fluorescent lighting that's decades old, inefficient. Can't get parts for it, same song. And then the fire alarm system is a very small portion, but again, when you do that much of a renovation and upgrade, they said we need to go ahead and do that fire alarm system as well. The rest of this proposition is kind of what I would say the general stuff, extending the useful life of fixed assets, except for one other project that the elementary is very excited about. We are looking at turfing that elementary playground because, as many of you know, it's impossible to keep the grass growing on the playground, but it's also impossible to keep the sticker burrs from growing on the playground. So we would really like to go ahead and get that fixed up and make it more useful for our students without teachers spending 30 minutes after recess picking sticker burrs out of socks every day. It looks something like this. This is another school district that's had a turf playground for several years, just for kind of reference. The rest of the stuff is replacing fixed assets as needed according to schedule when they are beyond their useful life, they're unreliable, and or they just don't work anymore. Proposition B has been talked about for decades, literally, in Port Aransas. In addition to a central kitchen and dining area, a band hall, a theater classroom, we're excited about the possibility of holding community events such as the Veterans Day ceremony, the elementary music programs, scholarship ceremony, and graduation in a more suitable facility. An approximately 800-seat auditorium with a quality sound system, lighting, and technology for presentations. This would be built in that grassy area between the middle school and the high school. Proposition C is really solely to replace technology devices as their useful life expires. We're in excellent shape as far as our infrastructure. It's just when the devices are no longer usable and or we can't keep them secure online, then it's time for them to be replaced. Proposition D is our extracurricular and athletic facilities. This has to be listed as a separate proposition. Some of the projects will include tennis court resurfacing, I should say, and making needed repairs. It's perfectly safe right now, but as you all know, concrete on sand tends to cause cracks, and there'll be some work that needs to be done in the next 3 years. Lighting repairs, as well as replacing rusty fences. Another planned upgrade would be to install turf at the softball field. That would decrease ongoing maintenance cost and labor, which is daily, especially during the season, but also allow us to play more games and avoid having to travel so much or postponing or canceling games when a relatively minor rainstorm takes place on game day. picture on the lower right. That was after about a half an inch of rain, and it was about 3 hours after it stopped raining. Another great example of our partnership with the city is that we play all of our middle school and high school baseball games at the city baseball field, which has been a great facility and still is a great facility, especially with all the improvements that you all made after Hurricane Harvey. Our dream would be for both our baseball teams and our softball teams to be able to play on turf fields, as many other schools in our area have already transitioned to turf fields. However, due to Title IX regulations, the school can't do a major renovation such as this on the softball field unless a similar renovation takes place at the baseball field. So as you all know, when we go out for bond elections, we're asking voters for permission to sell bonds. And that's what we're doing for this project as well, to pay for the softball field renovation. But we will not move forward with this particular project until the city is able to budget and approve a similar renovation of the baseball field. So just to be clear to all of our taxpayers, you won't be on the hook we won't be collecting taxes for this project unless we all get to a point in the next few years where we can do this projects basically at the same time due to Title IX regulations. So real quick, our favorite topic to talk about, taxes. The M&O or general tax rate is part of that Port Aransas ISD tax rate that you see on your bills. This funds salaries, electric bills, property insurance, all those things that it takes to run the district on a daily basis. And that M&O tax rate by itself makes up about 92% of the overall tax rate for Port Aransas ISD. Whereas the voter approved INS tax rate, which can only be used to pay back bonds that were approved by voters to pay for fixed assets, makes up about 8% of that overall tax rate. So for that general M&O tax rate that makes up 92% of your tax bill for Port Aransas ISD, 80 cents of every dollar is forwarded to the state of Texas for their use. And just to be clear, like even this year, all the recapture funds in the state of Texas, about $4 billion, was part of that $8 billion that was transferred by the state from the Foundation School Program to the general fund. And the general fund for the state of Texas can be used for whatever the state chooses to use it for.
I didn't think we had a state tax.
Statewide property taxes are against the Constitution. All right, on the INS side, I'm a former government teacher as well, so I can really get into that if you like. For each dollar paid in INS taxes to Port Aransas ISD due to voter approved bonds, dollar for dollar money is what we call it in my office. Every dollar paid in taxes stays in Port Aransas ISD and for our use here in the district. So I'm not going to go over all of this just for the sake of time, but the short version is, and when you have to buy a bus such as this, a 14-passenger bus, because most of our trips are about 14 passengers or less, and if you use that M&O tax rate, so when this bus, we say it's done, it can't go anymore, we'd really like to buy a second one, to be honest, because so many of our trips are 14 passengers or less. You buy a bus like this, say it's $75,000. However, if you don't have voter approved bonds, you collect $300,000 in taxes from our local taxpayers. We send $225,000 to the state of Texas and have $75,000 left to buy the $75,000 bus. With voter approved bonds, we collect $75,000 in taxes and use that $75,000 for voter approved for the new bus. I'm sorry. Just another quick tidbit of information.
Could you go back to that last slide, Sharon?
Which one?
Does that one, so that one, that shows the,
Yes. So this slide is the pre-bond issue cost estimate for all four propositions is $37.9 million. If we were to do all of these projects without voter approved bonds, which again, we wouldn't do them all, we couldn't do them all. But let's say we were, we would have to assess taxes for $189, almost $190 million to do $38 million in projects.
thank you.
Tax rate history, the current Port Aransas ISD tax rate is the lowest it has ever been. In fact, since our last bond election, the overall tax rate has dropped almost 8 cents and it's dropped almost 20 cents in the last decade. Of the 37 school districts in our region, only 2 have a lower tax rate than we do in Port Aransas ISD. 34 of 37 school districts in our region, so think around Corpus, to the south, to the west, and to the north, have higher tax rates, overall tax rates than we do here in Port Aransas ISD. So again, due to honestly the building boom in Port Aransas, when you drive around, whenever someone puts a structure on what was formerly an empty piece of property, a lot, and that increase in value will mean that we do not expect our tax rate to have to increase at all, even if all 4 bonds pass. Now, I will say, the elephant in the room is everybody's getting their estimated appraisal values right now. So I just want to be real clear. That means that we're not going to collect more money. It means the tax rate will actually go down. And Carol Stew, our CFO, and I think it was Friday night, spent some time playing around. It may go down significantly if the values are anywhere near what we're hearing. We haven't gotten our estimated overall values yet. Just hearing from people and reading in the Jetty, they've gone up quite a bit. So I just want to make that clear on the INS side. We're not going to raise more than $37.9 million. So that means if we will keep dropping the tax rate proportionately to ensure that that happens. Another thing I really want to point out, because it's confusing, when people go in to vote and every bond proposition for schools is going to say in all capital letters, this is a property tax increase. That is a law that passed in 2019. It's only for school districts, not cities or counties or anybody else, just us. Has to put that on every single bond proposition, whether it's true or not. And like I shared with you guys, the overall tax rate actually dropped after the bonds passed in 2020. And we anticipate that's going to happen again this time. But I want voters to know when you walk in to vote, starting on Monday, early voting, when you walk in to vote, every bond proposition, the last sentence in all capital letters is going to say that. And I'll show you the wording here in a minute. So when I share this in the community, kind of talk about our growing tax base, which is why we can say that there won't be a property tax increase. The actual bond ballot is loaded on our website. Where's the, see, I was trying to make this shorter so we wouldn't be here all night. Here we go. Bond proposition language. I know it's hard to read from the back, but I just want you to see again, A, B, C, D, the amounts are in there. They're in the same order that I shared them. But the last sentence of every single proposition is going to say, this is a property tax increase. And I'm going to tell you, it said it in 2020, and it wasn't a property tax increase. With everything we've seen so far with values and everything else that we have, information we have, it's not going to increase. And I think it's going to decrease pretty significantly as well. So wanted to make sure that I share that with you all, as it's definitely going to say something different when you go into the voting booth. So again, Port Aransas ISD is asking voters for approval or permission, basically is what it is, right? Permission to sell bonds and then to assess taxes to pay off those bonds. In the next 3 years is when we anticipate most of these projects getting finished. Early voting starts on Monday. Voting day is Saturday, May 6th, all of it at the Port Aransas Community Center. Again, our website, if you do QR codes, you can take a picture of that and also go directly to our website. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I know I zoomed through most of that, and I know you guys have a long agenda tonight as well. If you have questions now for the group, I'm happy to answer them, or you are also welcome to call me, email me, whatever. I'm happy to visit with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
I think you've done a great job getting the word out.
Yeah, well, thank you. All right. Good night.
Thank you very much,
Sharon.
All right, moving on. Number 5, citizen comments and reports. I have 3 citizens that were signed up to speak. The first one is Charlie Stovall. Charlie, come on up. 3 minutes, sir.
Speaking of property taxes
Right, good say.
and appraisals, I guess a lot of folks in this room have gotten their appraisals. I received mine and was totally shocked when the value of my little piece of sand quadrupled. It's insanity. Obviously, you guys aren't responsible for those values. It's the county. Some people are going to be affected less than others. Those of us who are over 65, who, homestead here, it's going to have an effect, but not nearly what we're going to see or others are going to see. The younger folks are gonna take it in the shorts. Many of them are gonna have to sell and leave, and we've already had a lot of folks leave this town for a lot of reasons. Short-term rentals are gonna have to change and increase their rates. We keep building more and more of them, but at some point, there's gonna be a problem in getting folks to come here and stay, because it's just not gonna be cost effective for them to do that. And how about the businesses that are already here? Their property taxes are going to go up. So what are we going to see there? We're going to see higher food prices, higher restaurant prices, higher retail, all of that. So several of y'all have businesses here. Have y'all received notices? Okay. Obviously, again, the city's not responsible for the values that are assessed, but has the overdevelopment in Port Aransas contributed to these outrageous values? Probably. Locals are leaving, as I said, more are going to leave if they can't afford to do business here. So I hope that the city takes our concerns to the county. Many of us will be here Saturday arguing with the appraisers over here. I encourage everybody in the room to come. We'll see how that goes. But if we can't get satisfaction on lowering these appraisals, we hope the city will look at possibly taking some kind of action, legal action if necessary, against the county. This is an outrageous money grab and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Cliff Strain, you're next.
And I'd like to let our board member Felicia go before.
Okay, Felicia, you're next.
My name is Felicia Foster. I live at 315 Oleander. I am the principal owner of Barron Custom Design, a board member for the Marlin Legacy Foundation, and a board member for the Port Aransas Preservation and Historical Association. And our family lives here full time. My career spans several decades in design. I look a lot younger than I am. As well as the last 10 years working with the city of Austin on their land development code and code overlays. I've got a lot of experience with historic preservation, as well as working with the different commissions, helping the city kind of evaluate what codes need to be, I guess, in place in order to ensure proper development. And I want to read something hot off the press. This is our new comprehensive plan that was just approved. And I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read it line for line, but I just want to read this portion. This is our LHC 2B, preserve and expand the character of Old Town by ensuring compatible development. Old Town Port Aransas is the heart of the community with several historic or locally significant landmarks, such as the Tarpon Inn, Chapel of the Dunes, and the Port Aransas Museum. The Port Aransas Preservation and Historical Association proposed a boundary to officially define the Old Town area, which was adopted by the City Council. PAPA is otherwise known as Port Aransas Preservation Historical, is working to preserve these assets on a voluntary basis and provide ceramic tile markers to identify each of the sites. The city should also consider establishing regulations to further protect and enhance the character of the area as future development occurs. Something that I encourage the city to do is add a step in the development process to direct all structures that are 40 years old or older to come to PAPA for a historic review. This would allow us a way in prior to demolition or rehabilitation that also would help preserve our town and the structures for years to come. As far as what we're doing as an organization, we're here to preserve. And every project that we look at, we're going to look at is that a significant contribution to our town and to our Old Town area. So whether it's a rehabilitation of an existing structure or even a new structure, if it's going in Old Town, we would like to weigh in on the character and the design and going forward, making sure that it meets all of the requirements of our new approved comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Felicia. Okay, Cliff.
Cliff Strain, the director of PAFA, and also lived here for 44 years off of Station Street. First, I want to thank the council for all the support that they've given PAFA in the past. I talk regularly with a lot of council members and we really do appreciate it. And we want to reciprocate now that we have this new comprehensive plan. We do want to be a part of, we want to be an asset and something that the council can use to help us, because we dissolved the Old Town Committee. And part of the comprehensive plan talks about Old Town being the heart of the town. I say the heart and soul of the town. And I think we have to kind of decide what parts of Old Town we just can't afford to lose, and that really are part of, the history and the heart and soul of the town. And we want to help with that. There have been there was a historic survey done in 2006. There was also a historic preservation action plan that the Texas Historical Commission helped us do. And y'all, I don't know if y'all have copies of those, but we'll be happy to get copies to you guys. But we just want to reiterate that we want to help, and we'd like to see some kind of procedure and system that includes some of the thoughts behind doing the Old Town Committee. We dissolved the committee, but we weren't dissolving their purpose. It's just the reason why we dissolved it was because they were kind of hobbled by having to have public meetings, but they still should be active. The same people should be working on stuff, and we still should have some procedure to consult that group, when it's needed. But these historic surveys identify a lot of, the historic points in town. And I like the idea of the ones that outlay of that area that we talked about, having some type of age, if a building is a certain age, that we give it special consideration. And we're working with the chamber to make these sites accessible on the internet through, it's called a travel widget. We hope to get that operational by summer. We've had a lot of stuff to, kind of on our plate. So it's been kind of slowed down. I think that'll help kind of create an awareness. But the truth is, there are several historic structures in jeopardy right now. And there's been some that we've lost recently that we try to fight for, and we're unsuccessful. And it'd be nice to know that, that the council and us together can work on these historic structures that are landmarks in our town that are part of our history and part of our heart and soul of the town. So, and that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Eric, we have a presentation from the police foundation that didn't make it on the agenda. Can we do that during citizen comments?
yes, you may. Whatever you would like to make your presentation. I saw you lovely ladies in the back. I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder why they want to come and hang out with us tonight.
Well, we did something a little different at our banquet. We also had a different kind of fundraiser, and we wanted to do something for our police officers and the city. And so we raised money to pay for the motorcycle that you already provided, but we wanted to give back to the community and give a check for $42,400 for the motorcycle.
That's awesome.
Side note, we've got Officer Scott Grumbles up here. His father was the first patrol officer in Port Aransas, and Scott is our first motor officer.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Y'all did an outstanding job at the event and obviously raised a lot of money. So Great job.
So Chief, we're kind of like the state. We're gonna take
Yeah,
that
we're taking more money back.
back in the general fund. Sorry.
Yeah, 80%. Dollar for dollar, that's right. Okay, any other surprises out there? That was a good one. I don't mind that at all. All right. So item number 6 on our agenda is executive session. I move that we move that item until after item F under subsection 9. There's an agenda item F that discusses city attorney services, and if the council's okay with that, I'd like to hear the proposals from the attorneys that are here and then move into closed session.
Otherwise, we have to have two.
Yeah, and then invite all these wonderful people who sat around for 2 closed executive sessions. Okay, perfect. All right, we'll move back to the consent agenda. Everyone's had time to look at the consent agenda.
Yes.
Any items to be pulled? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Brandon, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Krieger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Blumenauer,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, so then we'll move on to item 9. And item 9, we'll start with item F, which is a resolution awarding requests for qualifications RFQ 2023-01 City Attorney Services, setting terms and conditions and authorizing the city manager to act as executive officer and authorized representative for the city in all matters. So this will just be a portion where we'll listen to a few of the applicants that are here that were not able to attend last month's meeting. If y'all recall, we heard some of the applicants' proposals, but we actually moved to push this to this month so we could hear more and make a decision. So I believe there are 3 that are here.
Possibly.
So,
One.
yes,
Two.
right. And then there's actually 3. Thomas is back. So
Yeah.
Is it-
Yeah, so we got 4
okay, 4. All right.
and a return. So there's actually 5.
All right. Are all 5 of you wishing to make a presentation again, or y'all just
I
a
think they all need to come up because we need to ask them.
couple questions?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, who would like to go first? Since I don't have an order. Mike Morris, we would love to have you. Please come up.
Well, unlike most occasions when I'm asked to speak, I intend to be very brief. I got up this morning, I put on a white shirt and a tie. And I noticed that all the attorneys here have those implements on, which makes us appear to be more professional than otherwise is the case. But I also grabbed a cup of coffee and took off in my car to go to work. And on the way, I took a sharp left-hand turn, using my blinker and show you the result.
Oh.
With this, my tie is worse, so I come improperly attired, but I just want you to know that I appreciate the years that we served before. It was a great run and very much appreciated. I do want to introduce someone today. I've already given you our resumes, all of us. I don't think we need to go into that. And I'm not going to bore all these fine people with a recitation of something which they're not interested in all probability. Nor would I be if I was sitting out here in your audience. I want me to get out of here and for you to get on your more important business. I want to introduce one of the members of our team. And when you're practicing law, I think it's very important to do it as a team. And I've learned that over the course of the last 45 years, 48 years. And I am very blessed that I am a member of a team that is just excellent. One of the members is here with me tonight. He was good enough to discard his tie so that I wouldn't be the only one. Come on up here. This is Steve Hillman. Steve has since 2008, when I came over with this firm, been a partner. And and when I say a partner, I mean, he's been my best friend up there at the office. And he is extremely experienced in all facets of government law, including municipal. So he's tremendous help. And I do rely upon him in many cases. One, I think, was the last meeting when I was at the hospital with my significant other, and Steve stood in and came in here and did a great job on a real estate matter. Which he's very well versed in, and it worked out very well. So I expect that to be the case in the future if you choose us. Steve, you want to?
Well, I office right next door to him, so I've got to be nice. No, I was pleased to sit with you all a couple of weeks, a few weeks ago, and we'd be honored to represent you in the future in the coming months and years.
One point of order, Mayor. Our charter states that we are hiring a city attorney, not a firm. So we do need each party to designate a person as our city attorney. So just, yeah, if you could address that question.
The way, but I would propose it is this. I consider myself to be one of the family in this law firm. I am called of counsel. And one reason I chose that designation as opposed to the other, because had I become a member, then I would have to meet with the membership committee periodically and go over things that I didn't want to be involved in, details of the practice itself. But I just wanted to be a member of the family and practice law with these guys. So with that said, that's what I would propose that it be. Mike Morris as of counsel to the firm of Ostarch, Ilme, and McCullough. And that way you've got a designated person, but it's obvious that person is a member of a team, which if he's not available is going to take over and do the job that you need done. And will not only be there then, but also be there for anything that comes up during the day. I go into his office 3 or 4 times a day with emergencies, and he's always there.
At least.
At least. So, and as you all know, we also consult with other firms in larger metropolitan areas simply because we picked a couple of firms, and one in Dallas, one in Austin. And they are excellent in their chosen fields. And when we do not feel that we can give you the best, that's who we go to. And we'll continue to do that. It's a Brown and Hoffmeister up in Dallas, and the firm that Emily Rogers is with up in Austin, the name of which I can't remember.
Bickerstaff and more.
Bickerstaff, yes. Well, I'm 75, so I'm forgetting things more easily and more frequently. So, but thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come before you again. And I still say, I appreciate the years that came before this. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike and Steve.
I didn't ask if you had any questions, but I figured if you did, you probably don't want to ask them because I'd rattle on forever.
No, this is a great opportunity. Does anyone have questions for Mike or Steve? Okay, I think you covered it. All right, next. Thomas, why don't you come up? I'm picking now. I'm going. There you go.
Did you just say you're picking on me?
I'm picking on you.
Good evening, Mayor Moore, members of council. I was here at your last meeting. We had a great conversation. I don't want to have to rehash all of that, so I won't. But I do need to let each of you know that in the intervening time since I was last before you, my wife and I chose to launch our own law firm. My own law firm. She's not an attorney with me. And so I'm no longer with the Roberts, Otify, Whitty and Wall law firm that I was with when I actually submitted this RFQ. That changes just a couple of things with regards to my proposal, but they were already things that we were, as a firm, trying to minimize to begin with. You remember asking me at the last session whether Carly Wall would be the municipal prosecutor or whether I would. Well, I said then it would be me, and now I'm not with the firm, so it definitely won't be her. So I don't expect it to create significant changes from the proposal that was made initially, but I absolutely did want to be here to give anyone a chance to ask any questions they may have about the transition. I will, just to wrap up my comments, I'll say that it was an amicable split. The firm still supports me. I support them. They're great lawyers, and they have told me to tell you that they will provide me any support that I feel they need to give me.
You're still in Victoria. I mean, your card says that, but I'm just clarifying. So you
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be close by.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all remember I was city attorney in Victoria for 13 years.
Mhm.
And for the last 9 months, I've been driving back and forth to Port Lavaca. That's one of the things I won't miss. Is that I will now be working, my office is about a quarter mile from my house now.
Very good. Do y'all have any follow-up questions?
Dave, does that change since it's a different law firm? Does that change how the RFQ?
Hmm.
I'm just asking here.
Yeah, it's,
Not trying to cause any problems, but.
No, I absolutely understand. That is the reason I wanted to be here is because, you know, any of the other law firms who are here might want to tell you that that disqualifies me from being a part of this RFQ. And I want to be upfront and stand in front of you. And if that is your concern, then that is absolutely fine. But as Mr. Parsons said just a few minutes ago, you're seeking to hire an attorney, not a firm. And if you recall, my proposal was all about my personal experience and expertise, not the firm itself.
yeah, I think we'll discuss it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, who would like to go next?
Nope.
Okay.
Yes, my name is Adolfo Reese. I'm with firm of Denton, Navarro, Rocha, Burnell, and Zek. And I'm here with two other attorneys, one from the Harlingen office, Allison Bassin Rodriguez.
That's right.
Okay. And Valerie Esparza, Elizondo. See, I even get them mixed up. But in any event, we are a firm, but we will have the person designated will be Cynthia Munoz. I believe she was here last time.
Yeah.
All we do is represent governmental entities. We don't even take cases that don't involve governmental entities. That's all we do, and that's our specialty. And so with the other attorneys in the offices, we have a variety of experiences. I have been practicing myself for 40 years and just went to my union this last weekend at UT. So it's got to see everyone's just a little bit grayer than we saw them last time. But I do city attorney work and litigation. And so I have a different perspective with regard to coming to city council meetings. Allison is very, she does a lot of technical stuff, the contracts and gets the nitty gritty type of stuff. So she'll talk to you about what she does.
Oh, sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here again. So as Adolfo said, we are a firm that deals exclusively with local governments. We have 4 offices throughout the state of Texas. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley Harlingen office. I know Adolfo and Valerie, I'm sorry, are from the San Antonio office. We have an Austin office, and then we have a League City office. But we do work all across the state, whether we have to appear in person or whether we are doing it on the cloud. Working from Harlingen, I do a lot of work for Seguin, Bastrop, a lot of Central Texas cities. I also, up until recently, we were counsel for Rockport. We no longer are. We stepped back from that. And at this time, as Adolfo said, we have a pretty varied bench, and I myself do a lot of the transactional. I am also very, very involved in real estate law, both on a practicing level, but in a governance level as well. I'm on the real estate forms committee for the state of Texas, for the state bar. I'm very active in that section of the bar. And we have others who specialize in labor and employment, litigation, economic development. Gosh, plenty of others. So I appreciate the chance to visit with you all again. And Valerie, do you want to say a few words?
I am the municipal prosecutor for the firm. I came from the Bexar County District Attorney's Office, where I have misdemeanor and felony experience. as well as civil protective order experience. My trial experience is large as well. The reason I am not as well known in the office is because I'm not in the office. I go to, I am in court all the time. I do Class C. I do both, your traffic offenses and your code compliance. And so I would, if hired, I would most likely be your municipal prosecutor. And so I just would like y'all to know the range of experience that I have in bringing that to the table.
Thank you.
Very good.
And although Cynthia will be the designated city attorney, as Allison mentions, our bench is very deep. A lot of our attorneys have over, I would say, 20 years of practicing law. And so we have a lot of, I guess, gray-haired people with our firm.
Working on.
Yeah, but in any event, we have the experience and we have the personnel to back up the city attorney for the city, and we'll entertain any questions that y'all may have.
Is Cynthia, which office is she located at?
In the San Antonio office.
And what cities is she the designated city attorney for?
She has, I don't know offhand, but she's the city attorney for, I think, there's a couple that we don't represent, but there's, I think, maybe two other cities.
I think she goes to St. Hedwig on a regular basis in Garden Ridge. Those are the two I can think of.
And how many attorneys total do you have in your firm?
No, it's more like 20, 25. Okay. Plus support staff and administration.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, we need to get some WD for you on this. Okay, last but not least.
I think there's two more.
Two more, okay, sorry. Oh, that's right. We had a difficult time on Zoom.
We did.
Come in person.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, Mr. Parsons. I don't like to appear on Zoom. I am new to this firm, so I didn't have enough time ahead of time to come down in person because I'm very much a hands-on kind of person. I do not like to do things any other way if I can help it. And that comes from the last 13 years with the city of Seguin. As I tell people, I had an office of 3 total, me, myself, and I. Nobody else, no assistants, no secretaries, and I did municipal court and everything else in the city. So it kept me pretty busy, and I've built up people around that I can go to. I'm now of counsel to the Morkay firm, so I've got depth behind me to work. But when I agreed to come on with them, this was one of the ones that they were thinking of. And I said, well, this is a good fit for me. I retired from the city of Seguin amicably. I wanted to spend more time with my wife, but I also, now that that's past a couple of months, I miss doing things. Hey, I love her. We've been married 43 years. That's no issue, but I like building things, and that's what I feel, we do. I started my career in Corpus. I spent 13 years in Corpus Christi. The last part, I started out in federal court as a clerk to the judge there, and then I moved to Nueces County for a while, and then to the city. So I've had a lot of experience around this area. My personal philosophy, besides hands-on, is, I'm here to help you all go where you need to go. And there's usually more than one option that we can work through, and that's where I go. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. And I would do municipal court. I still do it in Seguin. I was there today, so I had to have a coat and tie on for that. So, but I think it's important. A lot of city attorneys and firms, I don't know about firms, but city attorneys don't like it as much or find somebody. But I figured that with the years I've done it, that's the one face of the city a lot of people only see. So, how they're treated and what they think. Yeah, they're not going to be happy. I mean, somebody gets a speeding ticket, they're going to probably pay a fine or get deferred or whatever, but how they're treated and the empathy that's shown is important. And I don't like to push that off on somebody else because I control me. I can't control somebody else. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So would you be our city attorney and our municipal court?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd have the firm behind me, if I need anything, and they would certainly provide research in that. Or if for some reason somebody didn't come, I couldn't come, they could send somebody, but I would expect you'd have my phone number. Anytime anybody needs something, I've got a cell phone. It's usually on, but yeah, 24/7, I'm available. And I live in San Marcos, so it's not an easy drive, but it's a pretty quick drive. And if I need to, I may just leave one camper here. I just stay a lot anyway, because I like the beach, but it's really whatever you need is what I'd be here for.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
I'm just here to support him. I'm Steve Alcorn. I actually live in Corpus.
Oh, okay.
And I've worked in the firm for 5 years since I retired and went around the world. But the concept there in the office is that there's an office of lawyers that's there, and then they have about 15 or 20 lawyers throughout the state that are retired, that are available and can do the work, but don't want to spend all day doing the work. So the big office, a big group of people in El Paso and a couple in San Antonio and the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but the firm is based in Austin, and he's the closest one, I guess, now. So
And a lot of them are retired city attorneys and people that a lot of experience through a wide variety of cities.
I was in-house with Grand Prairie for 22 years, and I worked for Fort Worth and Dallas, Garland, and different times.
Right. Any questions? No? No. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Mike Guevara was here last council meeting, and so I wanted to come up and introduce myself. I was able to see the council meeting online, and so I appreciated the opportunity to come up here and introduce myself as a longstanding municipal attorney. I started out at the Texas Municipal League over 20 years ago. So here I am, able to recognize the issues for cities. Different places have different issues. I get to work on the other side of the door from Mike, and we take care of cities together. I understand the questions would be, who is your designated attorney? And that would be Mike Guevara, but I'm right next door, and we're always growing. We have an additional attorney that has 4 years of experience as a municipal prosecutor in Cedar Park. So we have and I've also served as a municipal prosecutor. So if I have the opportunity to come out here, if I win, because everybody is very excited about serving these coastal cities. This size city is absolutely where my heart is at, because you're able to come here and feel home, feel the community is vibrant and strong. And that is exactly where I want to be as well. So I will get a camper, and it won't be a short-term rental. It will be something different than that. So thank you very much for this opportunity to introduce myself. And if you had any questions, I'm here for you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Bring a camper down.
Okay, well, I thank all of you for coming. I know that's a big effort for you guys to come, and I'm very impressed that all of you, or most of the firms, came back a second round, so I really appreciate that. We are going to now move into closed executive session, and we have several items that will include. So when we come back, that'll be the first item we discuss. So let me read this. In accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the City Council may convene into executive session to conduct a closed meeting and discuss any item listed on this agenda. Section 551071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act to meet with our attorney and seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney of the city council under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Texas Open Meetings Act. First item is related to Beach Access Road B. Also in section 551074 to deliberate about officers and employees of the governmental body annual evaluation of the city manager. And then finally, on the last item, which is also section 551074 regarding the city's attorney.